So can you talk a little bit about how you feel about doing this?
I was back and forth a lot. So being here, I feel like, okay, I'm ready. I'm nervous, but I'm ready to.
What was your reservation?
I was worried a little bit about, how people would feel about seeing me with my clothes off and being a doula, and just the world didn't seem to blend very well in my mind at the time.
What changed your mind?
That it shouldn't matter. It's almost just necessary that I do it. It feels like I need to do it. The other part of that for me was like challenging the fact that for so long as a kid, or in my 20s as well, like growing up in New York, and I felt like I was just a body. I grew up around a lot of people in the fashion industry, and I grew up around a lot of people who were well known in their craft, celebrities and whatnot. Overly aware at a certain age, especially once I moved to New York, of people looking at me and feeling like I had to somehow perform or be, a bit of a shell of myself just to kind of fit in my own house, which was kind of intense. Like out there, fair enough. People told me I was pretty, so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go be pretty now. I'm gonna go to the places where pretty people go, and I'll just sit there and not talk. I was always such a truth seeker. Like I had a hard time getting really dressed up and putting on lipstick and wearing heels up to here and things that I couldn't do it. But I'd try, and it was always I'd always feel very uncomfortable, and it wasn't me. My whole family's full of narcissistic women. Even my grandmother, when she'd travel, she'd have an entire suitcase just for her shoes. Like everyone was very self-aware, and I think growing up I was, I just never got it, and I was always very scared of that. My own family being so judgmental about how people looked. I actually felt very nervous all the time, socially, forget it. My problem was that I would wear things till they were like, smelly rags, and my mum would throw them away when I wasn't looking. I was obsessed by being comfortable and being honest. My mum is a dress designer, and she worked in modeling agencies, and I had such an awareness of what she wanted for herself. I wanted to be that for her, but I couldn't. I really feel like I didn't figure out what made me feel good until I had a kid. Then I started doing birth work. I just, as long as I could like fall asleep on a hospital floor in the thing I was wearing, it's just about comfort now. And if it's like a special thing, then, that's great. But I stopped trying.
So can you talk about assumptions that people have about you based on your style?
The tattoos are an interesting thing, I guess, because I work in hospitals a lot. I feel that judgment most in a hospital setting. When I've got nurses and doctors and midwives looking at my hands. Even at jobs, if I'm going to meet a family, and I might just like make sure that, because they might connect with me, heart to heart, and then I'll do this, and they'll be like, it's amazing. It makes them feel unsafe or something. It's so crazy.
Where do you think you get strength in yourself, even to know, like with your mother, where do you get that strength to believe in yourself like that?
We come into this life with agreements with parents, and my agreement with my mother on a soul level was that I was going to help her parent me. And because I could tell that she had a hard time with it, with the girl, and the way having a daughter triggered her. Trust me, in my teens and my 20s, I made it very personal. I had a lot of resentments because I had to work so hard to get past that and to be okay in my skin. I went to therapy. I wrote a lot of songs. I had a child. I mean, having him I had him quite young. I mean, not very young, 24. And I remember feeling like on some level that I'm going to have to be okay with my body if I'm going to do this. And it was like I had to repattern my whole belief system about how I looked and what was okay, and trust that it was a good decision to keep him, to be pregnant that young with no support. I was in love, and I just knew I was going to have him. There wasn't a moment in that pregnancy, and I've had abortions, and I had him. Told my family, and my family they didn't even talk to me really till the end of the pregnancy. I gained 75 pounds in my pregnancy, which was wild. I was sad that my family's true colors were showing through the pregnancy, that there was this severing, and it was the first grandchild, so I had compassion. I knew everyone was feeling old and feeling freaked out. I wanted my mum there, I wanted the support. I wanted everyone to be as excited as me. I had a 78-hour labor with my son. He was 10 pounds. I found as a doula, what I see more than anything is, the body following the mind. And I was very sad in my pregnancy, and I think my labor reflected that. I was grieving my family. It amened all the things I had growing up. Why I didn't want to wear the pretty dress when my mom said, hey, wear this. I want it. I don't. That was then, and since obviously things have, calmed down. I got an infection in my uterus from having my water broken for the whole time at home where I was having him. And then I had to be transferred to hospital for an emergency C-section. So it's like I labored and labored and labored, and then I had to surrender and have all these people come in and help me. I went back to hospital for a colon infection after that from the surgery. I ultimately was gone away from him for, I think, 2 weeks after I had him. I wasn't able to be with him. I spent the first 2 years just kind of making peace with the fact that I didn't get that beautiful beginning with him. Women that come in who are feeling insecure, feeling fearful, or in a bad relationship, or don't love their bodies, or it comes out in your birth, it comes out in your labor, you can't get away from it. Even people who have sexual trauma or any kind of abuse history, they might not tell me about it, but I see it when they're in labor, and it's a very, it makes me sad because some people will feel like they've told me everything that I'll need to know to support them in labor, but then I'll see things that they can't even articulate, and I have to leave them. And that's hard, because I can tell that they have so much unresolved stuff there, and it's going to come out in their mothering, because it did for me. With birth work, you have to be able to leave yourself at the door and just be what they need you to be, and that's unconditional support. For the first few years I did this work, I made myself overly available to these families, and I'd go home and just be so psychically drained and not know why my relationship was failing, not know why I had no energy really to be with my son, even though I slept for 4 days, after a 3-day birth. I still felt depleted. So through this work, I've had to learn self-care on a whole other level. And in turn, that's helped me be a better parent, be a better friend, a better partner. So this work has come back and really nurtured me, to support a family, sometimes complete strangers, well, most of the time. Your insides have to match your outsides. If you're standing in the same space as a woman giving birth, you can't be full of shit. You can't be sad that day. If you are, you got to find a way to surrender that and be there for her. Women in labor are like superheroes. They sense everything. They smell things, they see things. Their spidey senses are off the charts. I think I've finally found a place where I can undo and heal a lot of this, childhood stuff. It's finally, smoothing out. I've seen a dead baby, and if once you've seen that, you either go, well, it's not for me, or you pick yourself back up and you go to another birth.
Who are some of your role models or people that have really influenced you in a positive way?
My nanny. My siblings, my son's father as well. The way he lives. He really is how he lives. And anytime I meet a person that really matches, their insides match their outsides like that, I'm just like, I need it, because I think I grew up with so many secrets that, like, when I meet someone that's just, I'm like, yes. But when I met him, I remember feeling like he had nothing that I wanted, like, superficially on paper. But he had this, like, very wild heart, and I kind of knew I was going to have a child with him, just based on the way it felt to be around him.
Can you talk about when you feel the most vulnerable?
Right now. I don't know. Well, speaking so freely and feeling this comfortable and second guess, like being like, oh shit, should I have said that? When I'm with my son alone, I'm very vulnerable. I'm very scared a lot. I have to catch myself and give myself confidence. I'm the mother. He needs me to be a mother. As a single parent now, and I'm very close to his dad, but the day-to-day single parenting for me makes me feel very much like a beginner, very young, a lot. Because I'm really learning this stuff from scratch, you know? Like so many people. To meet them like eye to eye, but also be an authority and guide that, it's so hard.
Within all of this, you know, and like, was there a moment when you ever felt broken?
Like between high school and moving out, I felt like I was a lost cause. I had very crippling depression back then. Living in this city, trying to keep up with everything that, you know, friends were doing and scenes to be part, you know, just like so much pressure to be current.
And what got you out of that?
I moved to Virginia with my son's father, and that was the first time where I was like not in New York and in nature. I trusted that I'd made the right decision. Like everything I'd done before that was very safe. Like I always stayed. When I moved out of my house, I moved down the street. You know, like it was everything was a little bit like, what if I fuck up? And I had these ties with my family that kept everything so safe and small. And once I moved to Virginia, and even though it was kind of crazy, and then we moved back not that long after, just that, you know, there were things like that where I said, you know, I can make decisions and I can fuck up, and, you know, and it's okay, it's my life. I want to give my kid permission to fuck up. I want him to have the space to really be himself, because I see how I was really not allowed to have that. And whether my family or my mother knew that, she was creating that for me, I don't know. But that was my experience of it.
Can you just respond to why in your body is it a good place to be?
It's warm, and it's soft, and it's finally mine.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
Good.
That was beautiful.
Thanks.
Really beautiful.
You're welcome.
I'm going to take photos of you now as you are, so.
Oh, okay, great.
Tears and all.
Oh God, come on.
So incredibly uplifting.